Jackson's father told me last night the neighbor's dogs attacked and killed his son here in this Marion County neighborhood. Now, strong winds blew over this tree, damaging one home. As you might be able to see behind me, crews are just now clearing the scene. That's because officials said they just removed the body from the water. As at this time of year, corn plants are usually shoulder high and beginning to tassel. But as you can see, these ones barely reach my knee. Now, the new emergency department features a wide range of improvements. Medical Director of Emergency Services, Dr. Thomas Lewis, says crews have spent the day in and out of the woods here on Hubbard Road. Sheriff Wilkins says they found evidence here that indicates they might find Lawrence as well. They've been flying drones and searching the brush with cadaver dogs.
You know, we hope for the best, but we're assuming we're going to see the worst just based on what we've gotten so far.
Crews working out of the mobile command center canvassed the area. Sheriff Wilkins says more than 50 people from several organizations were involved.
Some of them are on foot, some of them are on four-wheelers, and the cadaver dogs are trying their best to, you know, worst case scenario, to try to locate them.
The brush is so dense in many places that crews had to cut their way through. Sheriff Wilkins says crews also searched ponds in the area, some up to chest deep, but found nothing.
It's one of those where I wish we had a quicker report of her missing.
Wilkins says Lawrence was last seen when a state probation officer came by her house to check on her boyfriend, Michael Brayboy, the evening of September 26th. That was also the last night her phone was on. She was reported missing on October 12th.
Family members came down to check on her, and that's when they detected that there's been a disturbance within the residence.
The sheriff's office put out an attempt to locate order on her and her car. Sheriff Wilkins says Brayboy was driving it.
Evidence within that vehicle, evidence within that residence has led us to this location.
Brayboy is currently in custody. He's charged with failure to report a change of address as a sex offender. He's being held on a $1.5 million bond. Sheriff Wilkins says that high amount reflects his criminal history, which includes a 23-year sentence for first-degree rape. Sheriff Wilkins urges anyone with information to come forward. In Robeson County, Jack Bilyeu, News 13. According to a spokesperson for the Marlboro County Sheriff's Office, the shooting happened just before 2 a.m. this morning near the Amnesia nightclub on Highway 15. I spoke to one woman who heard the gunshots and then saw the scene.
Then we heard all the gunshots and we seen the laws coming this way, and I was like, that's down by my house.
LaShonda Clark shared these videos she took as she was leaving the Amnesia nightclub.
And I spotted the boy in the middle of the road. They was holding him, shaking him.
Sharonald Lewis lives just down the street from the club. She says she drove through the scene on the way home from the store and watched as first responders tended to the victims.
As I was coming, I had to get stopped. Let the laws and the ambulance them come.
She says on weekends, cars line the road and officers stand at the door.
As law enforcement is already there, so how can all this happen and they not see nothing? No one, I mean, it wasn't prevented or nothing.
She says there have been minor incidents at the nightclub before, but not like this.
Me seeing that last night, I feel like it shouldn't even be no club no more.
The investigation is ongoing. There are no suspects at this time. In McCall, Jack Bilyeu, News 13.
It was busy for several hours. Police officers everywhere and coroner and all that kind of stuff.
When Karen Dawkins showed up to work, she saw the roads near her bakery were blocked off. She watched as crews removed the car from the woods.
It was messed up, crunched in from both sides, and when they pulled it out, there was a lot of debris from the trees and stuff like that in it.
According to the Florence County Sheriff's Office, the car was clocked going 95 in a 35 on Alligator Road shortly after 3 a.m. A deputy U-turned and chased the car to Freedom Boulevard. There, the deputy gave up on the chase, and the car drove off the road and crashed into a pond, killing the driver. Dawkins says she's glad there wasn't collateral damage.
Somebody doing 90 miles an hour through here. I'm just thankful that it happened at the time it did, because I have 11 grandchildren going back and forth to school.
She gave some of the officers a box of baked goods to show her gratitude for their work.
We just kind of walked out here a little bit into the parking lot because we didn't want to interfere, because they had the, the yellow tape and all that, and they were more than happy to take the cookies.
Highway Patrol is investigating the crash. The name of the victim has not been released. In Florence, Jack Bilyeu, News 13. Shamar Sharif Jackson's father says his son was chasing after his pet chihuahua with his two brothers when they found it surrounded by the neighbor's dogs. He says it ran at them. His brothers hopped over a fence, but he didn't quite make it. You can see Jackson in this picture provided by his family. I was there when law enforcement officials took the dogs into custody as family and neighbors watched. Jackson's father describes the moment they found their son.
When my baby was laying there, the dogs had stripped him naked. The man told my wife, "Don't touch him. Wait till the police to get him." So how you gonna tell her to leave her child there like that? So my oldest son went over the fence and grabbed him.
He said he wants to see DNA testing done to determine which of the dogs killed his son. Coming up at 6, we'll hear from neighbors who say these dogs running wild had been a problem for a long time. Live in Marion County, Jack Bilyeu, News 13. The Board of Trustees allowed the mask mandate to expire tonight. Board Chairman S. Porter Stewart says now it's up to school administrators to decide what to do for their particular school. The discussion was not on tonight's agenda and therefore was not voted on. It was on the agenda at the board's September meeting but was tabled. Chairman Stewart says the district-wide mandate was only necessary because of a state proviso that he says prevented schools from enacting masking requirements themselves. Superintendent Dr. Richard O'Malley cited a decrease in COVID cases among students as justification for allowing the mandate to expire. He says when it was enacted, there were nearly 350 cases among Florence 1 students and teachers. Last week, there were just under 40.
It was just really trying to keep everyone healthy the best way we all can. This was just another tool.
South Carolina has not met herd immunity. So we are still in a state of emergency. And may God have mercy upon us.
Superintendent O'Malley says the district will continue to strongly encourage mask wearing. He says at a later time, if things get worse, the board will be able to reevaluate and possibly enact another mask mandate. In Florence, Jack Bilyeu, News 13. The strong winds blew over this tree, damaging one home. I heard from a man who was outside when the tree fell. He says it was on top of him, and he thought it might be the end. First responders were able to get him out from under the tree, but he fractured his leg in multiple places. He told me his home is still standing and he's grateful to be alive.
And I was going to run to my car, which I was only 10 feet over here, and roll up the windows, and the next thing I knew, I was on the ground and I had a tree on top of me. It was fear, because at first I was so dazed, it was like a dream. I didn't know if I was alive.
Edie's home is without power and his leg's in a cast, but he says it's not the worst thing that's ever happened to him. He has surgery tomorrow. In Darlington County, Jack Bilyeu, News 13.